Henderson, Nevada, March 13, 1997. At 6:55 p.m., police in this small desert city received reports of a massive, V-shaped, unidentified flying object in the night sky. Over the next 3 hours, the craft is witnessed by thousands of people as it journeys southeast into the state of Arizona. Because most of the sightings are reported by the residents of Phoenix, the incident is known as the Phoenix Lights.
On March 13, 1997, at 7:55 p.m. MST in Henderson, Nevada, a witness reported seeing a large V-shaped object traveling southeast. At 8:15 p.m., an unidentified former police officer in Paulton, Arizona, reported seeing a cluster of reddish-orange lights disappear over the southern horizon. Then shortly afterwards, there were reports of lights seen over Prescott Valley, Arizona. Tim Lay and his wife Bobby, his son Hal, and his grandson Damien Turnage first saw the lights when they were about 65 miles away from them. At first, the lights appeared to them as 5 separate and distinct lights in an arc shape, as if they were on top of a balloon. But they soon realized that the lights appeared to be moving towards them. For about 10 minutes, the lights appeared to come closer. The distance between the lights increased, and they took on the shape of an upside-down V. Eventually, when the lights appeared to be a couple of miles away, the family said that they could make out a shape that looked like a 60-degree carpenter square with the 5 lights set into them, with 1 at the front and 2 on each side. The object with the embedded lights appeared to be moving towards them, about 100 to 150 feet above them, traveling so slowly that it gave the appearance of a silent, hovering object, which seemed to pass over their heads and went through a V opening in the peaks of the mountain range towards Pestawa Peak Mountain and towards the direction of Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport. An amateur pilot, actor Kurt Russell, then reported seeing the lights to air traffic control. Between 8:30 and 8:45 p.m., witnesses in Glendale, a suburb northwest of Phoenix, saw the light formation pass overhead at an altitude high enough to become obscured by the thin clouds. An amateur astronomer, Mitch Stanley, in Scottsdale, Arizona, also observed the high-altitude lights, quote, flying in formation, end quote, through a telescope. According to Stanley, they were quite clearly individual airplanes. At approximately 10 o'clock that same evening, a large number of people in the Phoenix area reported seeing, quote, a row of brilliant lights hovering in the sky or slowly falling, end quote. Several photographs and videos were taken, prompting author Robert Schiffer to describe it as, quote, perhaps the most widely witnessed UFO event in history, end quote. According to Schaefer, what became known as, quote, the Phoenix Lights, end quote, incident of 1997 consists of 2 unrelated incidents, although both were the result of activities of the same organization. Operation Snowbird, a pilot training program operated in the winter by the Air National Guard out of Davis-Monthan Air Force Base in Tucson, Arizona. Tucson astronomer and retired Air Force pilot James McGaugh said he also investigated the 2 separate sightings and traced them both to A-10 Thunderbolt II aircraft flying in formation at high altitude. The first incident, often described by witnesses as a large, quote, flying triangle, end quote, began at approximately 8 p.m. Investigators later determined that the sighting involved 510A Thunderbolt II aircraft participating in Operation Snowbird. The aircraft was flying in formation along an established air traffic coordinator under Visual Flight Rules, VFR, causing the lights to appear as a single massive triangular object to observers on the ground. The Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, rules concerning private and commercial aircraft do not apply to military aircraft. The A-10 formation displayed steady formation lights rather than blinking collision lights. The formation flew over Phoenix and on to Tucson, landing at Davis-Monthan AFB at about 8:45 p.m. Snowbird. According to the U.S. Air Force, the exercise involved deploying LUU-2BB illumination flares, which are designed to burn brightly while descending slowly beneath the parachute. A flight of 4 A-10 aircraft released the flares over the Barry M. Goldwater Air Force Range in western Pima Country, Arizona. Flares were visible from the Phoenix metropolitan area and appeared to hover because heat generated by the burning flares created an updraft effect that slowed their descent. As the flares drifted downward, they gradually disappeared behind the Sierra Estrella mountain range, southwest of Phoenix, creating the illusion that they were suddenly blinking out. Their intense brightness also made nearby stars more difficult to see, causing some observers to believe the lights were blocking out portions of the night sky. Further support for the flare explanation emerged in March 2007, when Lieutenant Colonel Ed Jones of the Maryland Air National Guard confirmed that he had piloted one of the A-10 aircraft involved in the flare-dropping exercise on the night of the sighting. Jones stated that his unit was temporarily stationed at Davis Mountain Air Force Base as part of a training deployment and had flown routine training missions over the Barry M. Goldwater Air Force Range on the evening of the event. According to the Maryland Air National Guard, the aircraft involved belonged to the 104th Fighter Squadron. A 2000 history in the Maryland Air National Guard also identified the 104th Fighter Squadron as a unit responsible for the flare exercise. Reports linking the Maryland Air National Guard to the incident had first appeared in the Arizona Republic in July 1997, only a few months after the sightings occurred. Jones' confirmation provided additional evidence supporting the U.S. Air Force's explanation that the lights observed over Arizona were military illumination flares rather than unidentified aircraft or extraterrestrial objects. Additional support for military flare explanation came from later comparisons with known flare exercises. Local television stations broadcast footage of documented military flare drops alongside recordings of the Phoenix lights, highlighting striking visual similarities between the two events. Further analysis examined the brightness of LUU-2B illumination flares, the type commonly deployed by A-10 aircraft during military training exercises. Researchers found that when reviewed from a distance of approximately 50 to 70 miles, the flares would appear nearly as bright as the lights reported by witnesses in the Phoenix area. These findings supported the conclusion that the observed lights were consistent with military illumination flares rather than an unidentified aerial object. These findings strengthened the conclusion that at least the second and most widely reported Phoenix light event was consistent with a military flare exercise rather than an unidentified aerial phenomenon. During the Phoenix Lights event, numerous photographs and video recordings captured a series of bright lights, appeared at regular intervals, remained visible for several moments, and then seemingly disappeared one by one. Subsequent analysis determined that the effect was likely caused by military illumination flares descending behind mountain ranges that were not visible in the darkness. From certain viewing angles, the mountains partially obscured the flares as they drifted downwards, creating the illusion of a curved formation of lights that appeared and vanished subsequently. This perspective effect helps explain why many witnesses reported seeing a stationary arc or V-shaped pattern of lights, even though the lights were actually independent, flares ascending at different positions behind the terrain. Shortly after the incident, Arizona Governor Fifth Symington III held a press conference joking that, quote, they found who was responsible, end quote, and revealed an aide dressed in an alien costume. In 2007, Symington reportedly told a UFO investigator he had a personal close encounter with an alien spacecraft, but remained silent, quote, because he didn't want to panic the populace, end quote. According to Symington, quote, I'm a pilot, and I know just about every machine that slides. It was bigger than anything that I've seen before. It remains a great mystery. Other people saw it, responsible people. I don't know why people would ridicule it, end quote. On February 6, 2007, lights were reported by observers and recorded by local Fox News television station. According to military officials in the FAA, these were flares dropped by F-16 Fighting Falcon aircraft training at Luke Air Force Base. On April 21, 2008, residents across the Phoenix area reported seeing a group of mysterious lights in the night sky. Witnesses described the lights as changing formation over time, shifting from square pattern to a triangular shape. One resident reported that shortly after the lights appeared, 3 jets were observed flying westward in the same general direction. However, an official from Luke Air Force stated that there was no U.S. Air Force activity in the area at the time. The mystery was largely resolved the following day when a Phoenix resident informed local media that the lights were helium balloons with flares attached. A police helicopter investigation later confirmed this explanation. A day later, another Phoenix resident who chose to remain anonymous in news reports publicly acknowledged that he had attached flares to helium balloons and released them from his backyard, providing a straightforward explanation for the unusual lights over the city. On the evening of March 27, 1997, thousands of people witnessed a strange phenomenon now known as the Phoenix Lights. These massive light formations were seen in Arizona and Nevada, quickly sparkling a media frenzy. While rational explanations have been made for the bizarre lights, witnesses stand firm on their belief that they encountered UFOs.